You are listening to the Marc Guzman Podcast Experience. So welcome to another episode of Ask Marc Anything. I think hopefully you guys are following the podcast. We've had some amazing guests on the show. We had Congressman Mike Thompson on the podcast. We had Munchie House in. Very fun episode. Great, amazing food. Go check them out in Oakland. They're usually on International 105th. Go check them out. So
Dante Blinks earlier this week.
Dante Blinks, rapper, photographer, amazing talent. So please check out the podcast, subscribe. You can follow us on iTunes, Facebook, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere else you listen to a podcast. So on this episode, I think, what's the theme? The theme is like really around teams, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into the first question. Let's just jump right into it.
All right, so talk about team building today. First, what makes a good team?
Okay, what makes a good team? So this is actually a really good question. And I think what makes a good team really comes down to the dynamic of the team and really how well everyone works together. I mean, I think if you just saw really how the Warriors played against the Cavaliers, I mean, if you just see how the different teams play together, the dynamic that each individual player brings to the team, I think that's a really good example of what makes a good team. Now, when it comes into business, it's very similar. So you have to have, depending on the size of your business, you have to have multiple departments, but the entire workflow has to just flow smoothly together. Otherwise, you end up with problems. Now, even if you have the best layout for a workflow, you have to have the right people. And so all that combined together is really what makes a good team, which when you're the CEO or when you're the business owner, it becomes really hard to coordinate this and to make sure you build out the right team. So I think what really makes a good team is really the work ethic for people or the work ethic of your actual team members and how well they dive into the business. Now, should you expect really high standards from your employees? Absolutely. But you should have higher standards for yourself, being that it is your business. And I think you as a leader really guide your employees. And that's really what makes a good team. So it's just really a combination of everything there.
All right. What do you look for when bringing people onto your team?
What do I look for when bringing people onto the team? So I think what I really look for is going to be for work ethic. I think if you come to me with all kinds of, college degrees, certifications, a lot of basically, I guess, book learning, yes, that's a plus, but I'm really going to want to know what your work ethic is. Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to put the time in to do a good job? That's what I'm really looking for when I'm hiring people. Throughout my career, I've probably hired a total of 20 to 30 people, somewhere in that range, especially when I was selling foreclosures back in 2007 to 2011. We had a team of 9, and we had people rotating in and out. And every single time I hired someone, I really just looked for their willingness to learn and be a team player. And I really didn't pay attention to what their credentials were when it came down to high school or college. That really wasn't even a concern for me. And there were people that I hired that had degrees that were great people, and I hired people that had no degrees that were great workers too. So I think when you're looking to hire someone, you really want someone to fit with your business model, your team, and really it comes down to work ethic and if they're willing to learn, because there's going to be some people that show up that have zero experience, but sometimes those are the best people because you can groom them to be great employees because, again, they're willing to learn.
And what are some ways you would recommend using to find people to join your team or hire onto your team?
Ways to find people to join the team? So when I put out an ad, for a job posting, what's been really effective still is Craigslist and Facebook. So Craigslist has really dropped off the map in the San Francisco Bay Area for like looking for rental properties or finding event tickets or finding things to buy. That's really dropped off, but it's still pretty effective when it comes to job postings. It's $75. It's one of the cheapest job posting sites out there. So I think a lot of employers still post there just because it's the cheapest, but you also have a lot of people looking there. So I think to find an employee, definitely still use Craigslist. You could use some of the bigger sites like Indeed.com, Monster Jobs. LinkedIn has different job posting features that are pretty neat to use, but LinkedIn, I believe last time I checked, was about $500, so they're a little bit more on the expensive side. But Facebook is also very effective. So if you have a business page on Facebook, you can create a job posting, and then that job posting gets sent out to all your followers. You can also boost it, and you can really advertise this job, and people can apply directly on Facebook right through Messenger. So it's very convenient for many parties. Now, Facebook's limited in that people are not really able to upload documents, and the questions that are available for them to answer and complete is somewhat limited. So if you do a Facebook job posting, when you get applications in, make sure to follow up and email them and ask them to send you a resume. So there's a little bit of extra work, but not that much extra work. And you do tap into one of the largest networks. Actually, it probably is the largest network in the world. So Craigslist and Facebook are my two go-to job posting sites. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubman. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at marcguzman.com.